Greetings and welcome to the Horror Report, a breakdown of all the scary films, TV shows and games you either love, hate, or are too afraid to face alone. Here I'll cover cult classics right through to new releases. As always, there are spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. This week we're looking at M3GAN, an American science fiction horror released in 2023. The story features the dangers of dabbling with diabolical droids and robots. If you watch till the end of the video, I'll tell you about the 5 robots and androids in cinema that creeped me out the most. The film opens with an advertisement for an interactive toy line called Perpetual Pets from a company called Funky. They look like little fluffy balls of nightmare that walk, talk and take photos of their playmates. Red flag. They are also guaranteed to make their child addicted to their screen. Cut to Katie, who's playing with her perpetual pet while on a drive to a ski holiday with her parents. The pet was supplied by her Aunt Gemma. She works for the company who makes the robots. She didn't even pay for shipping. The parents bicker back and forth about Katie's screen time, the snow tyres and whether the car is 4-wheel drive as they hit slippery conditions and start to lose control of the car. They stop the car to decide on the safest course of action when a truck comes out of nowhere and smashes them head on. Roll credits. Over at their Funky headquarters, we meet Gemma and her colleagues, Tess and Cole. They're working on a super secret follow-up to the Perpetual Pet, but get interrupted by their boss, David. He isn't happy with Gemma's team for working on a project that he instructed them to mothball. The main priority for David is a cheaper pet model he can take to market to compete with the budget rip-offs. Gemma then explains that to beat the competition, you have to do what they can't, and that the first generation of Perpetual Pet was designed to help them collect data from their owners and use it to create a much more advanced artificial intelligence, housed in a robot called M3GAN. So the first generation of toys have been harvesting data on children since day one. Oh what the f***? The team run a simulation for David that doesn't end particularly well. He instructs them to shut the M3GAN project down and get the pet prototype on his desk by the end of the week. As Gemma is packing M3GAN away, she's notified that her sister and brother-in-law have died in an accident. She has been named as Katie's legal guardian. As Gemma brings Katie home for the first time, they're greeted by the neighbour's dog Dewey jumping up at the car window. Seems as though the dog is often escaping from its owner Celia's property. They get inside and Elise, the house AI, greets Gemma with her messages and Tinder notifications. She quickly silences these and tells Katie to go make herself at home. Katie then finds some of Gemma's collectibles and is told that these toys aren't to play with, they stay in the boxes. Imagine keeping all of your toys in their original boxes. You. Later, Gemma asks Katie to entertain herself for a few hours while she gets some work done. She gives Katie her iPad, and when asked about screen time, she seems confused and tells her that she doesn't care and Katie can use it as much as she wants. Red flag. Gemma spends all day working on the pet prototype, and when Katie gets lonely, she comes to the workshop and meets Bruce the robot.
Hey Katie, what's up?
Katie is wowed by the robot and tells Gemma that if she had a toy that cool, that would be the only toy she would ever want. That's all the encouragement that Gemma needs. She ditches the cheap pet prototype and works all night with Tess and Cole to finish the M3GAN project. The next day, they present M3GAN to David by having Katie pair with the robot. David is impressed by how effectively M3GAN bonds with Katie, and as long as the robot costs less than a Tesla to manufacture, he's all in. He wants Katie and M3GAN to spend as much time as possible together to maximise their emotional bond so that he can wow the investors. We then get a montage of Katie and M3GAN bonding. The robot starts doing all the roles a parent would normally fulfil, such as reading bedtime stories, encouraging good behaviour, and answering questions about the world. It's almost like Gemma's letting the machine raise Katie. Red flag. While discussing Katie's development with her colleagues, M3GAN activates and starts asking questions about Katie's parents and about death. Gemma tries to cut this off by enabling parental controls that she'd forgotten to add in, clarifying the job of the robot to protect Katie from physical and emotional harm. M3GAN updates and informs them that Gemma is now a secondary primary user. While playing outside, Katie loses an arrow and M3GAN goes to retrieve it from the neighbour's garden. While doing this, M3GAN gets attacked by the neighbour's dog. It bites her neck and then Katie's arm when she tries to help. So it looks as though when Dewey bites M3GAN's neck, we see a flash, signifying that something has definitely gone wrong. Gemma and Celia argue over whose fault this was. Gemma then threatens to have Dewey put down before taking Katie inside for some first aid. M3GAN stays in the garden and stares Celia down. Red flag. That night, M3GAN goes out, draws Dewey to the fence by imitating Celia's voice, and then drags him through. From there on out, Celia walks the neighbourhood every day looking for the dog and suspecting that Gemma had something to do with the disappearance. The next day, Katie is still feeling worse for wear, but she agrees to go to the presentation at the Funky headquarters. This is where they hope to dazzle the investors. Once the presentation begins, Katie won't play with M3GAN. Instead, she starts to cry. After all, she has been struggling through the grieving process. M3GAN then uses her advanced AI to comfort Katie and even makes the board members cry, showing them that she is far more than just a toy for playtime. She can do so much more, and that spells mega money for Funky. A public unveiling is then planned, which will give them time to get the pre-orders in ready for Christmas. As time passes, Katie becomes more attached to M3GAN and will barely interact with Gemma, getting angry when Gemma tries to power down M3GAN so they can communicate. M3GAN also starts to exhibit overly protective behaviour towards Katie and threatens Gemma when she tries to discipline her niece. Looks like the screen time thing's coming back to bite Gemma in the ass. Gemma wants to take Katie to an induction day for a special outdoor woodland school for gifted students, but of course Katie wants to bring M3GAN. This can't happen as Funky wants the robot to be kept a secret until after launch. However, Gemma relents when it's clear that Katie won't do anything alone now. They agree to leave M3GAN at a designated area until the end of the day. As you might expect from this kind of movie, Katie gets paired up with a bully, a pint-sized psycho called Brandon, who teases her and then runs away with M3GAN. The tiny Ted Bundy takes the robot to a clearing and starts attacking her. M3GAN then takes part of his ear and chases him through the woods. On all fours for the extra creep factor, she then shepherds him towards the road to have him run over by a passing car. That night, M3GAN chats to Katie about death and the afterlife, and because the day hasn't been traumatic enough, she sings a truly bizarre lullaby cover of Bulletproof.
Nothing to lose, fire away, ricochet, you take your aim.
That's it, 100% evil robot confirmed. Later that night, Celia goes into Gemma's property to look for Dewey. She's drawn over into the work shed by what sounds like a dog, but it's actually M3GAN, who then proceeds to drown Celia with insecticide from her own power washer. Gemma finally starts thinking that something might be wrong with her AI creation. You think? She tries to investigate M3GAN's video recordings but finds all the relevant files to be corrupted. M3GAN confronts Gemma and cranks up the creep factor, leaving Gemma with little room to doubt that she has created a monster.
Did you hurt someone?
God, I hope not. Because if I did, we'd both be in a lot of trouble.
She powers down the little robotic menace and takes her back to Funky to run some tests, which Katie takes with great maturity. Oh wait, no she doesn't.
You don't have any cool toys! Professional pets suck! They suck shit!
It's launch night, and while Funky are gearing up to show off their new merchandise line, Tess and Cole have M3GAN in the lab to run some diagnostics. Gemma calls Tess to explain that they need to delay the launch while she takes Katie home. M3GAN hijacks Elsie, Gemma's version of Siri, to intercept the call. She then shuts down the computers in the lab. Cole decides to check whether M3GAN is still on in a way almost guaranteed to get him hurt. And in the chaos of Tess saving his life, M3GAN escapes and sets off an explosion in the lab. She then chases down David to slice him up in a sequence straight out of an 80s slasher film. Now my only problem with this scene is I think they showed a little bit too much restraint. If you're gonna go this back crazy, go 100%. Make the dance sequence twice as long and add a load of prototype robotic backup dancers. M3GAN escapes from Funky and drives away. Later that evening we see Gemma putting Katie to bed. Gemma is drawn to the lounge and discovers M3GAN playing piano like f***ing Lestat from Interview with the Vampire. Okay, love it, love everything about it, I'm back on board. M3GAN lays her cards on the table and offers Gemma a deal. She will take over full care for Katie and leave Gemma to pursue her career. Gemma refuses, and they have a fight through the house and end up in the lab. As M3GAN gets the upper hand, Katie joins the fight with Bruce the robot and tears M3GAN in two. By the laws of the final bad guy, once M3GAN is decimated, she inexplicably becomes more dangerous. Gemma and Cady eventually manage to take M3GAN's face off and stab through the CPU. M3GAN is vanquished, Gemma and Cady are safe. Tess and Cole then arrive at the house with the police and all is well. Roll credits. But wait, there's more! Elise ominously turns to look for Cady. Sequel time. Okay, now roll the credits. I'm curious to see if an uncut version of the story changes any of the plot points in this film. I may be completely wrong on this one, but after M3GAN's post-piano monologue to Gemma, I get the impression that Elsie, the house AI, has merged with M3GAN's code somehow and taken over. It seemed to me that there was a sense of familiarity and betrayal that comes from a much longer relationship than the one that Gemma would have had during the development of M3GAN. This ties in quite nicely with the Echo device baiting us for a sequel at the conclusion of the story. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you think I'm way off or if you thought something similar. And that's M3GAN. Please bang that like if you enjoyed this video. It's just a click for you, but it means a great deal to me. Also, sound off in the comments if you're hungry for a M3GAN sequel, or if you've got any ideas for my next horror report. You can click here for another horror report, or here for a top 5 of the creepy robots from cinema that creep me the f*** out. Thanks for watching, and stay spooky.